Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Manhattan Community Board One, Landmark Preservation Committee, July 13th, 2023. I'm Vicki Cameron. I will be chairing this meeting. Hello, everyone. So if our first presenter is here, that will be 36. Bunch of presenters, please go ahead.
Yeah, sí, Lorna, they're online.
No, bueno, déjame pasar. No me voy a
Very close, in fact. Better know it.
Are you talking about this thing? Oh, I hate it.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Can you speak up? Everyone, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, now I do. Thank you.
You're welcome. Do I need to share the presentation?
Yes, I will see them.
Okay.
Yes.
Elizabeth, can you place your camera on?
It's been if you look her real temple. Well, there she goes.
Can you see my
That's
screen?
great. Thank you so much. All right, go on.
Okay, great. My name's Elizabeth Cannon. I'm a preservationist at Joseph Pell Lombardi Architect. And
Hold on 1 second, please. Hold on. Are you on your highest volume?
yes.
Okay, please continue.
So today I'll be presenting the proposed work to the penthouse 8th floor at 3638 Hudson. Our office restored the building in 2004 to 2007 and converted this building from commercial to residential. In the photographs from 2001, you can see on the left the state of disrepair of both 36 prior to our restoration. The building's located in the Tribeca West Historic District at the corner of Hudson and Duane Street. It was constructed between 1891 and 1892 by Babcock and Morgan. The building was originally brick, terracotta, and cast iron. This lot occupies 52.7 feet on Hudson Street and 40.1 feet on Duane Street, with an additional 24.9 feet on Duane Street for the Whalebone Building, which is located next door at 161 Duane Street, and it's connected to our building at 3638 Hudson. The proposed work is on the terrace in the northwest corner. You can see where my arrow is pointing in the right-hand photo. So the terrace is 79 feet above the ground, and the roof level in both the existing and the proposed scheme we're going to show is 87 feet. This penthouse expansion that we're going to be presenting occupies 24 feet on Hudson Street, and it faces Duane Park. Our scope of work will include expanding the penthouse 8th floor by filling in part of the terrace on Hudson Street, adding a lot line window on the north facade, adding a safety railing on the roof, which is required by the building, and relocating 2 HVAC units to the roof. Both the terrace infill and the safety railing will be at an angle sloped away from the street. And just to note, this expansion is going to be minimally visible because it's set back 4 feet. So it's not actually going to be on the same plane as that parapet that you're seeing on the Hudson Street facade. Rather, it's set 4 feet behind it. And the minimum visibility will just be through that open arch feature, which you can see at the top of the parapet in the building. So if we go through the plans, on the existing penthouse 8th floor plan, you can see that there's a terrace on Hudson Street behind the parapet, And right now, the apartment wall is set back 12 feet from the street. In our proposed plan, which you can see in the middle drawings, the new wall will be set back 4 feet 3 inches from Hudson Street, and it's going to be sloped at an angle to reduce the visibility. And I'll go through this more in the section drawings, but there's 2 different heights in the proposed expansion. The taller portion is completely concealed by the taller parapet in this area, which if I go back to this photo, you can see the far left of the building has this taller parapet. In addition, we're going to be adding a new 4-foot 5-inch wide window on the north lot line. So above on the roof level, you can also see that we're going to be relocating 2 HVAC units that were previously on the terrace below. And those units will be set back 20 feet 6 inches from Hudson Street. And there's also going to be, which you can see in drawing number 6, a sloped safety railing on the roof, which is required by the building. But we're proposing to slope it away from the street again to minimize the visibility. So if we look at the elevations, if you look at the detailed elevations on Hudson Street, the area that you'll see between the arched openings, we're proposing this to be a new glass wall behind these arched parapet openings. The wall is not going to be on the same plane as the parapet now. It'll be set back and it'll be sloped away from the street. Above at the roof level, the proposed safety railing and HVAC units on the roof will not be visible due to that taller parapet that already exists on the left side of the building, and also because they're set back 20 feet 6 inches from the street. The material that you'll see in these arched openings on the left side attached is going to be a reflective glass on just this Hudson Street elevation. And here's another drawing. This was LPC just requested that we add this drawing to our presentation today. So it's not in the set that you have, but we had to add it. I think it was after the deadline. So you probably haven't seen this yet, but on the left side, you can see what the terrace looks like now, and then what we're proposing on the right side. And this is cut behind the parapet wall. So you wouldn't actually see this from the street. It's just to show you what's happening behind the parapet wall. So the section in detail shows how we're moving the existing wall closer to Hudson Street, and the proposed new wall will be set back at an angle. If you look at the section cuts, number 3 and 4, which are proposed sections, you can see the different heights of the proposed expansion. So for example, the bottom section, section number 4, is the portion of the expansion where the parapet's taller. So this area is taller because it's going to be concealed behind that taller portion of the parapet. And then if you look at proposed section 3 above, you'll see in this area, the expansion, the roof is a little bit lower. So it's actually the same height as the existing roof. Or it's actually just below the existing roof, sorry, 2 feet lower. Expansion is minimally visible because it's set back 4 feet from that parapet wall in Hudson Street and it's sloping away. And then if you look above on the roof level, the safety railing is also sloped away from the street, and the railing is set back 16 feet 2 inches, and the HVAC units are set back 20 feet. So the HVAC units and the safety railing will not be visible, but the expansion just below will be minimally visible. So here's a bird's eye view of the existing terrace and the proposed expansion. And you can see here the proposed infill on this existing terrace and where the existing parapet is taller in the north area of the terrace. And like we were explaining before, in the proposed infill, there will be 2 different heights to make sure that this space is minimally visible. So the north area will be that taller portion because it's concealed behind that existing taller parapet. And then above on the roof level, the existing flat roof will remain, and the two HVAC units that were previously on the terrace level will be relocated to the roof level and set back. And then you can also see that safety railing, which is required by the building. Okay, so on the existing north elevation, right now you can see there are two lot line windows. And then on the right-hand side in our proposed drawing, you can see where we're adding a lot line window in the westmost part of this elevation. The proposed window would be a double hung 2/2 aluminum window, and it would be painted bronze. The window would be about 4'5" wide and 5'8" tall. And this new proposed window will be located just above the existing adjacent building line, which is dashed on the facade. So here you can see where we started putting in our renderings. The addition is minimally visible behind those. The addition is minimally visible behind the open arched architectural features in the Hudson Street parapet. And the addition will be a reflective glass set back 4 feet behind the Hudson Street parapet. And then you can see in the far right photo, the lot line window on the north facade will be visible on the north elevation. And if I can scroll into these photos. I mean, very minimal visibility on this left-hand side in the openings. Okay, and here are some additional renderings of the reflective glass, which is just minimally visible between the arched openings on the left side of the building. On the right side, just to note, on the far right area of the photos and the arched openings, you can see an existing penthouse, which is not part of our unit, but which is part of the building. And then our last few slides are with the mock-up installed. So at the site, we built a mock-up of the proposed expansion in orange netting. And on this slide, the mock-up photos are taken from Hudson Street, and they show minimum visibility. And the proposed reflective mirror-like glass, the idea is that it would blend in with the blue sky and the arched openings. So if I scroll into these photos, you can just barely see minimally visible the mock-up netting. And here's the netting again right here. And then more mock-up photos. There's minimum visibility from the corner of Hudson and Duane Street. And then if you look at photos number 4 at the bottom, this is that long view from Greenwich Street behind Duane Park, or looking at Duane Park. And there's just minimum visibility above the trees. So if I scroll into these photos, you can see on the left-hand side through the arched openings, the orange netting, just minimally visible. Coming from the corner of Hudson and Duane Street, so around the corner from the building, the orange netting, again, for the mock-up is minimally visible from this corner. And just zoom in a few times on these photos to show you all. I don't even think I can see orange netting in this proposed photo at this angle. And then in this photo, you can see a little bit of the orange netting from this angle on the left-hand side. So that's the presentation. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I have a couple of questions. just to help us understand. The lot line window that you're introducing, that is a lot line window, right?
Yes. I'm not sure if you're asking me a question, but I can't hear you.
Air conditioning. Yeah, and it was on Tammy's laptop that the microphone was working, but yet.
The answer is, there's gonna be a spring behind it and the glass is not wired glass.
Doesn't need to be because you've got a sprinkler. It's a
Okay,
regular, it's a regular glass window.
Yeah.
Okay,
bronze,
and
bronze color.
lovely. And that space, so am I to understand that, the space that is now, is exterior and now you're going to expand that, space and encompass that in someone's bedroom, living room, whatever it is, right? But is that space currently public though?
No, it's currently a terrace space for that unit. Door space.
Yes, if you could. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes. Is there a phone number?
Can you hear us? See,
Yes,
she
I can
can't
hear
hear
you.
us.
I can hear you right now. If there's a phone number I could call in, maybe that would be
I hear you.
helpful.
Jeremy, please go ahead.
Yeah, no, I had a couple questions. So you can see, I mean, you can see reflective glass. That part you can see. I guess my question is, for the penthouse that's next door, you know, it has that sloped roof seemingly by design, right? So that it's very visible. Why is something like that not achievable here?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
The apartment next door, right? There's an apartment next door, it shows it, and it has a sloped ceiling. And it's sloped specifically so that you don't see anything from the street. From the images, you can't see it on the black and white, but on the color PDF that we were sent, you can see the reflection. You're gonna be able to see the glass there. Can we see that?
No, I understand that Jeremy.
So she has a hand. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, she can ask a question if you have an answer, but she's asked it to be moved over.
So
Wait, so.
on the right side, there's an existing skylight that's a lower profile than what's being proposed. And that skylight connects to an apartment that is a duplex. This apartment is a duplex, but doesn't have the windows below. And they are, unlike the other apartments, seeking to take outdoor space and use it to expand their, indoor space for whatever personal reason that is. So that's the intervention. And that, I'm just trying to clarify what is, behind the right side there with, like, as you pointed out.
Right, because on the right side, you really don't see anything.
Well, zoom in a lot, Elizabeth.
Well,
Zoom.
You see it.
You do. Yeah, and zoom in and focus to the area in question. There you go. There you go.
So the orange, you can see the orange netting, where my cursor is where it stops.
It's fine. I don't.
It's fine. And Jared, I think the issue is that when you see it in this section, right? If you can see that this office's proposal is coming, I think it says here 8 inches, I can't tell, or 8 feet, excuse me, 8 inches to the parapet, right? We don't know, so we know that, but we don't know how far those people are. But you can see them both. Now,
Maybe go to the
good question. The glass that you selected, can you tell us a little bit about the glass, Elizabeth?
Yeah, so the glass is like a mirror reflective material. And the idea is that, the portions of the glass that you can see through the arch would be reflecting the sky. So a reflective material.
Okay, thank you. Bruce, go
I
ahead,
have two
please.
questions. First of all, will reflective glass, which is not really, is not really. You can't. This thing.
I'm hearing about every other word.
And vision and
And I would also like to know, since that is on a corner, and it's on a bright corner, because Wayne Park is across the street, what kind of reflection will that beam out to the community in glaring sun? Number one. And number two, that building had enormous structural issues and lawsuits when it was being converted. Has that all been resolved, or will that affect the construction of this penthouse?
she can't answer that question, but I can partially. The only issue that has to be done to close the book on this development is the railing, which obviously no one has a problem with because it's not very, that's the only, this penthouse is, it's extra. It's not, it doesn't have to be done. There's no, that development is closed, but except for the fact that it doesn't actually have a permanent C of O for all the reasons we know it can be. And there's no railing on the top of the roof. So if they had a construction inspection, it wouldn't pass for that,
And
final.
may I just ask, when was the building occupied? How long ago? I mean.
A while. What, developed, she said it in the beginning. I think it's like
We
2000.
did it between 2004 to 2007.
It's been quarter of a century since they haven't gotten the permanent C of O.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying the building has issues, I guess that's also not in their purview,
No.
but I would suggest some other kind of glass. And please answer the question about the sunlight and reflectivity.
Answer the question
Answer.
about the what reflectivity?
Glass.
Well, Elizabeth, do you think that
I can hear you, Jason.
client would see another piece of glass, or do you want to tell them about why it was chosen? Because, and to tilt it was to give the reflectivity up so that the reflection would be the backside of this beige parapet or the sky. And, if it meant doing it similar to the one that's already there on the right, I'm sure you would be willing to take that back to anybody if that was a game changer on, the idea of this enclosing the terrace.
So you don't have to answer that question.
Yeah,
If-
so I mean, ideally, what we were looking at and what the client was looking at was a reflective sort of mirror type glass that would reflect the sky. But, if necessary, we could switch to a glass that's closer to what the adjacent penthouse has, or potentially even like a beige color if that would be preferred.
For myself, and I came in late, from what I've seen and I looked through the deck, I would vote for this, but unless the glass were mirror glass. Then.
No, unless the glass was not.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Sorry, yes, thank you.
Well, I'm gonna interject here and say, ask for example, numerous examples, right, of what glass type and color and reflectivity is successful or not, right, all over the world.
Sure.
So, can you just explain to us, or tell us, did you go through the right process? Did you consider reflectivity? Are you going to reflect, the neighbor across the street on the 20th floor and blind people? Are you gonna burn cars? Or have you checked that out? And most importantly, if we can't see it from the street and it's covered behind the parapet, then, unless you're burning the neighbor on the 24th floor, then I would consider this a non-issue.
But you can see it from the street.
You can.
Yeah.
You can't.
You
I
definitely
want
can.
you to stop saying that,
Yeah.
because we did go with lengths to show that it is. And that doesn't seem to be a big issue, but when you write the resolution or when things happen, that's why we're here. It is minimally visible. And also, we are happy to further investigate the reflectivity. And frankly, I think the
That's it.
client would be even prefer, after a lot of thought, that it's not reflectivity, because that kind of product is a much higher price range, in fact, than something that's more appropriately already in the district.
Okay,
Your
fine.
standard skylight style versus some revolutionary thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can write a resolution.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? Where's my colleague here?
Somebody on your.
First here, yeah. Andrea, how about you? Do you have any questions? You're okay with this?
No.
Gerald?
I'm with Bruce on the reflectivity.
But I just explained that, so you have to be clear about what you were in opposing.
I agree with what you said.
Right. So if the architect clarifies for us that they studied it, right? It's not gonna burn a Jaguar like he did in London. It's not gonna burn the neighbor on the 23rd floor. Then, if they studied, this is the best thing for the
No.
project. that
No,
we're-
no,
that's not what they
you have to
said.
listen clearly.
They-
I'm
they-
sorry.
No, wait,
I listened.
but no, hush, but everybody, may I speak?
Yes.
Thank you very much. What Jason was very clear about and what we all agreed to is that reflective glass that Bruce had some trouble with, we all agreed that, and Jason stated that he thought that the owner would be very willing to rethink this portion and not have reflective.
And I might add that Jason sub rosa, it was a subtext, that is probably more appropriate glass at a higher price. He represents the owner, so he's being very measured in his work, but I could read between the lines, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's expensive. but-
So I think with that caveat,
Yes.
we can.
Take a vote.
We can take a vote.
I'd like
Thank you, everyone.
Lorenzo, are you hear us?
Hello?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
great. Perfectly. Go to it.
Okay. Shall I start?
Please.
Okay. So I'm sharing my screen now. Can everyone see my screen okay? All right. So
Yes.
this is we're here to talk about the installation of non-standard pedestrian ramps with granite paver crosswalks. We're here to talk about this for two projects, HWP 19 CWLM and HWPR 19 MC1. These locations are happening in the borough of Manhattan. So what we're going to talk about today is just the project list locations. Then we're going to talk about the objectives of the project, the proposed treatments that we plan on using. We're going to show you some existing conditions and then some proposed conditions as to what's going to be installed. And then we're going to talk about project timelines. So to start off, the project location list, for CWLM, there's two locations that fall within CB1's area, and then that are particularly in a landmark district, which is J Street and Staples Street and Light Street and Cluster Street. Now CWLM, even though we have these two locations that we have shown, in total the project consists of 63 corners that we're going to be designing and constructing, just to give you just an overall scope of what's happening. But we're only talking about these two because these two have granite paver crosswalks. The other part that we're going to be talking about of the project is with HWPR 19 MC1. And the locations that we're going to be discussing are J Street and Greenwich Street, Harrison Street and Greenwich Street, Vestry Street and Washington, and Watts Street and Greenwich Street. Now with MC1, even though we're talking about these four intersections, in total we're going to be building 69 corners in that contract. So, project objectives. Our main objective is to upgrade these non-standard pedestrian ramps, which are in your community board that are specified in these two projects. And these corners were specified by DOT for various reasons. They have basically a timeline in which they're going to go through and redo all the corners within the city, but they have a particular timeline in which they gave DDC these to do. Now, as a result of that, as we're installing and rehabilitating these corners with new pedestrian ramps, we also are making the crosswalks compliant using standard DOT materials. And basically our ultimate goal is to receive a letter of support from you with regarding the installation of these granite paver crosswalks in these landmarked areas. And right now we have just two pictures of just what we're showing that we're going to be installing. So in the landmark areas, we're going to be using pigmented concrete sidewalk where the concrete is an existing material. And then we're going to be using granite curb, and we're also going to be using cobblestones and granite pavers in the roadway where that currently exists. So the proposed treatments. As we have shown here on our pictures, we're going to be installing these granite paver crosswalks, which are going to have 2-foot by 3-foot granite pavers, which are smooth but have a textured surface, so they're slip resistant. And then they'll be interlaced with these ADA compliant granite pavers. So these 3x5 that you see shown here in the picture, and they'll be smooth so that they'll be compliant. And as we mentioned, they'll have a textured surface so that they'll be slip resistant. Continuing with the proposed treatments, as we have shown here on the left, we have sort of a bird's eye view of how the crosswalk will look if we were looking down at it from the street. So they're going to be, there'll be 2 granite headers that will be on either opposite side of the crosswalk, and then we'll have the granite pavers that will be alternating with the 3x5 ADA compliant granite cobblestones. And then we have a cross section of what we have shown here on the right. So to make sure that everything sort of stays in place, we're going to have a 9-inch concrete base, which is going to be really supporting the granite header, and also the 2x3-foot granite pavers and the granite blocks, the smooth 88 granite blocks. So how is that going to look? Well, here we have a picture of actually one intersection that was installed in your community board. This is at Vestry Street and Hudson Street. The only slight difference is that we'll be using these ADA compliant granite pavers, the 3x5 ones, which weren't used at this project because it wasn't a requirement at that time. But basically, this is what it's going to look like, the granite paver crosswalk in the other locations that we plan on showing you. This is just a close-up look so as to how it looks. So really the crosswalk is delineated from the cobblestone roadway. So existing conditions. So for HWP 19 CWLM, the location of J Street and Staple Street, you notice in all 3 pictures that what we have shown here, there's cobblestones everywhere. And we're going to be putting in new ramps, but you really cannot see where the crosswalk is. It's not delineated or defined. So this is basically what is going to be proposed. So we're going to be installing pedestrian ramps at all 4 corners, and then you can see the types of crosswalks, that these granite paver crosswalks that we're going to be installing at this intersection. Our next intersection is Light Street and Closter Street. We're going to be working on the Closter Street side. This is a T intersection. We're going to be installing ped ramps on either side of Closter Street, and we're going to be providing a granite paver crosswalk as here shown on the right. Our next one is for HWPR 19 MC1. This is a location at J Street and Greenwich Street, and we're going to be working on the J Street side, installing ramps on the north side and the south side of the corner of J Street. And you can see the granite paver crosswalk that's being depicted here. And the crosswalks are going to look the same. The depiction is just slightly different, but it's going to match the same orientation and depiction as we showed earlier. This one is for Harrison Street and Greenwich Street. We're going to be working on the eastern side of the intersection of Harrison, and we're going to be installing the ped ramps as shown, and we're going to be including that granite paver crosswalk where the existing cobblestones are. Our next one is Vestry Street and Washington Street. We're doing all 4 corners at this intersection, and we're going to be installing 2 granite paver crosswalks across Vestry Street, since that is where the existing cobblestone is. But the Washington portion is already asphalt, and that will remain as such, and that'll just have thermoplastic. Our next one is Watt Street and Greenwich Street. We're only working on one side of the intersection, which is the western side. We're going to be redoing those 2 corners, and we're going to be installing the granite paver crosswalk on the western side, connecting those 2. And this is our project timeline. So HWP 19 CWLM is in pre-bid status. It's actually just went out to bid, I believe, recently. And then MC1 is in pre-bid status, and it's going to hopefully go out to bid basically at the end of the month. And this is our last slide. So DDC is just requesting a letter of support for these granite paver crosswalks because we want to continue the process with LPC. And if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Lorenzo. That was a great presentation. Thank you so much. Does anyone have a question here? Yes, Bruce, go ahead.
I do. I have a few things to say. Have you driven or walked down Greenwich Street from Canal to Harrison?
It's off roading.
Not lately.
Okay, so let me just mention that from Canal Street to Harrison, and anecdotally from Canal Street to North Moore on Varick, this community board pushed for those spaces to be cobbled. They were cobbled about 8 years ago. Subsequently, within a year or two, the cobbles were utterly destroyed. There's no more mortar. It's probably the most dangerous stretch of roadway in Manhattan. Axles have broken, cars have broken down, pedestrians have been seriously injured. In fact, someone died on Harrison Street because of the cobbles, an older person. DOT has consistently said they cannot afford to repair them. The one intersection that you showed here, in one of the pre-existing intersection that was redone on Vestry and Hudson, that was one chunk. Everyone thought the rest of it would be repaired. That was one chunk, one intersection that was repaired, and it took a year. That is the only part of that entire roadway that you can actually drive on, walk on, or bike on safely. It took a year. By the way, no offense, but it's late, not light, and Collister, not Colster. I'm just suggesting this because it's good to know the places that you're working on. These are devastatingly bad streets. We've brought it up to DOT many times. They said they neither have the skill nor the finances to repair the cobbles. And that the beds, which were attempted to be replaced once on Greenwich and Greenwich and Washington between Canal and Harrison, were never really set in concrete. They were set in like a layer of sand, literally. So I want to know how you could be doing all of this without addressing a critically dangerous fundamental problem.
Well, I hear your concerns, and I'm terribly sorry that condition exists. Just to acknowledge your thoughts. This project is only a pedestrian ramp project. So this is not a roadway project. So all this project is intended to do is to upgrade pedestrian ramps at specific locations and adjacent crosswalks. We're not reconstructing the entire roadway. DOT did not provide us with any scope of work to do that, unfortunately. If we had that scope of work, then we would do that. But we've only been tasked to do the pedestrian ramps at these locations.
I would urge you, at least for yourself, if you're representing this project, to make a site condition,
We've been to these sites that we have shown, but you asked for a long stretch of roadway. That's outside of our project scope. So DDC gets different projects, and we work on those projects that we've received. If my suggestion is you'll just have to keep bringing it up to DOT for that inclusion for full reconstruction, which is, it seems like what you're asking for. I'm not saying that that's not possible, but that's outside of our scope of work right now. We can only do what we were commissioned to do, which is work on these pedestrian ramps.
We understand that, but the issue for us is that the short-sightedness of DOT is offensive and wrong. And so you are asking for our support, which we can give with a big caveat. We would be very remiss not to respond to this and what the roadways are and the whatever, I mean, all they needed to do was get somebody from Italy to go fix the cobblestones, for Christ's sakes, and they could have had it done. But anyway, I think that that's a piece for us to deal with.
I agree that that caveat should be included very explicitly if we are supporting, exactly as you phrased it.
That's all.
So I will tell you this for the crosswalks that were going to be installed as a part of this project. I'm gonna go bring you back to this slide that shows the cross section. It's going to be supported with 9-inch concrete. So where these crosswalks are going to be installed, we're not going to have a problem. And you can go to Vestry Street and Hudson Street right now, and you'll see there's no issue right there because we've installed 2 crosswalks right there like that. So, but like for the rest of the roadway, I can only go with what my scope is at this time.
I agree. Thank you. I will bring this back around, before we finish. Go ahead, Jared, you have a question.
So I actually have a bunch, and it's, I think, within the scope of your project, but the spirit of the concerns are not totally dissimilar. So for me, as somebody who lives in that neighborhood, I can't quite understand how some of these intersections were chosen over some of the others. You have, you're talking about Late and Collister, and you're talking about Staple and J, I think. Basically alleyways, right?
Right.
They're not high traffic.
No.
You're talking about doing down Greenwich, you're talking about Watts, for some reason skipping to Brosis altogether. And then going to Vestry. It doesn't really make any sense. Even talking about how you're doing one side of the street on Watts, but not either any of the other 3, crosswalks. I think the crosswalk issue is a real issue. There's an inability to cross. My next sort of question, actually, if you can address that first.
Yeah,
then
we'll
I'll
tackle
go
one at a time. So DOT selects the locations. DDC doesn't select the locations. So DOT has made a determination as to which locations are to be reconstructed. So if the other locations are not a part of the project, then they're already compliant by DOT standards. That's why we're not doing them.
Or
That's
Corenzo, sorry, this is Lindsay Burke and I'm with DDC as well. Some of the corners
Okay.
may also be considered standard, and therefore our projects are considered complex, meaning we need to either move some utility work or we need very specific engineered drawings. So therefore, some of the corners could be done in an easier, faster fashion, which would be the standard pedestrian ramp projects.
right, but there's, as far as we know, there's no plan to do this, right? You're talking about, it just doesn't really make any sense. If you have a limited amount of resources, and I understand that the DOT is dictating that, but if you have a finite amount of resources, why is it being devoted to, a pair of alleyways when you have major intersections that are basically impassable for anybody in a mobility device or a stroller, or it doesn't really make any sense.
100%.
It just doesn't.
Correct.
So, I mean,
Right, but you're asking an agency that does not make that.
I recognize that, but I don't see how I could support this
We
position.
will put that in our resolution.
Well,
Okay, so
to be fair, just to go back, we're not asking for support about the locations that were chosen. We're asking for support for the granite paver crosswalks, and specifically just the granite paver crosswalks.
Yes, yes, that's understood.
fine.
Okay.
So then-
And just be mindful also too, there are several other pedestrian ramp projects that are happening, while these projects are happening. We have several standard rehabilitation projects where they go in, they rebuild the ramp in like 3-4 days, and then they're gone. But as Lindsay mentioned, these are complex, so things have to move. Whereas on the other corners, maybe nothing has to move and it can easily be installed. So it's on 2 different tracks with regard to this. So please keep that in mind. And all the ramps are going to be basically redone in New York City. So that's what, one thing our unit is doing. But we have to go by what we were assigned to do.
My next question is about the grant action. So in the district, in the North District alone, you have basically 5 different versions. You got the version on Vestry, you got the version on Greenwich and Lake, you got the version on Hubert and Hollister, and you have asphalt and you have Belgian block. So is there going to be a sort of standard? Is this the standard going forward? Because you really have 5 different sets of materials.
So So we're using DOT standard materials that are found in DOT's street design manual, which is basically it's ADA compliant Belgian block that we're going to be using, cobblestone, and we're going to be using the 3 foot by 2 foot pavers, granite pavers. So you can find those on DOT's website. We showed pictures of that before previously, but it's all standard DOT materials that are being put, and we've put them on other projects as we showed, like what's here at Vestry Street.
I know, I live off of Vestry, so I'm familiar with what it is, but what I'm saying is literally a block away, you have a different material. Another block from that, you have yet a different
Just
material.
asking me to the standardize it.
Is this gonna, that's what I
Yeah,
asked.
this
That's totally
is the
correct.
standard material that DOT uses that we have shown here. That's in the street
Yeah.
design manual
For landmark
for
areas.
landmark districts.
Come in, this is not working. It's yellow.
Yeah, I don't think they can hear you.
Aren't they outside? No, they're not outside. They're in Zoom.
Right, but they can't hear us.
Right.
And Elizabeth couldn't hear us. It's the same thing. I think, because they keep, can you hear us?
I think they're answering.
You
questions.
guys are cutting out every so often. So like when the gentleman with the hat was talking, he was very garbled, but I was able to understand what he was saying. But when some of the others have been talking, like when Elizabeth was presenting, you guys have been cutting out this whole time. So I don't know if there's an internet connection on that side or if it's just a mic on your side.
So I want to clarify, please. I want to clarify because I'm not moving until this gets clarified. So, Lorenzo, a question.
Yes.
Currently, on 4 different streets, you have 4 different solutions. We don't like that. We would like to know when we're going to have a single standard solution. And I won't use the word standard. You use that with DOT. I want to know when we're going to have the same solution everywhere, rather than every corner a different design.
So what we have shown here, we're using the same materials at every single intersection. So I'm, we're not using different materials at different intersections. We're using the 2 foot by, the only thing that's changing is the width of the crosswalk, and that's based on how wide, based on DOT standards. But we're using the same materials at each and every single intersection.
Understand, what we're saying, outside of this limited scope, other streets do not match this design. So we want to know long-term, are you and DOT planning on making all of these intersections uniform?
So when it comes to, DOT has a map of all the locations where they want basically cobblestones retained, and where those cobblestones are supposed to be retained, we will have these types of granite paver crosswalks. Yes.
Thank you. Basically, they're saying DOT's in charge and you're gonna have to wait. And this is the wrong agency to ask for anything else. That doesn't mean we can't put it in our resolution as our thought and suggestion, but meeting with this is not going to help.
I would like to.
I'm sorry, Jared first.
Yeah, Corenzo, since this is a ramp project in particular, what triggers these different configurations of ramps? Because I noticed some of the, like, for example, the proposed treatment at Staple and J have 3 ramps that go into that direct pedestrians into the center of the rectangle, the intersection. And then there's a 4th ramp that I'm not really sure what it does. I guess it directs you across J Street maybe, and also then toward the center. And then in some of these others, there's a full corner that's taken out. That becomes a ramp. Some are again, the ramp goes to the center of the intersection. The other has ramps that actually align with the crosswalks. So what's the trigger there for those?
So a lot of
for the design.
there's a few different triggers. So one of the triggers is vaults. If there's a vault present, and depending on where the vault lies, how high it comes up to the, to the surface, we don't want to break it because then we bought it. So we are trying to work around that. There's other sometimes things that are constraining us as well, because we only need sometimes crossing. Let me rephrase that. We only need ramps in certain directions to cross the street. So we have here 2 ramps shown crossing J Street, then we have another one shown crossing Greenwich Street, but there is no crossing on the other side of Greenwich. It wasn't required by DOT. On Harrison Street, due to, I believe we had a vault issue over here, so we had to use one of the options of a blended transition. And all of these different types of ramps are actually shown on DOT's standard toolkit for ramp installation. So you have your regular, tangent ramps, you have blended transitions, which is what we have shown on this drawing right here, on this top corner. And then we have blended transition shown down here, where it allows you to cross in both directions, but we don't have enough room to put in 2 tangent ramps going in, a direction to the north and a direction to the east. So space, vaults, all play a different part. And then the amount of room that we actually have on the sidewalk. So with regard to this location here, we did not have enough room for a blended transition to because we have to have a landing once the person gets on the sidewalk, that a person, like if they're in a wheelchair, they have to be able to spin around. There was not enough room, so we use a shared bottom landing. So basically, the surface over here is almost at grade, but there is a slight pitch to the sidewalk, so that water, doesn't pond there. But then once you want to go into the northern direction, you ramp up, and if you want to go to the western direction, you ramp up.
Okay, so
Thank you. We're gonna have to,
Is
if this comes up at full board meeting, we're certainly gonna have some folks asking questions, so I want to
Like
make sure
what?
I understood. As to, we
I
have,
call existing conditions,
well, yeah,
fire hydrant.
there's triggers and stuff.
I'm sure
Oh,
they
these things
reviewed
happen.
it.
And just to reiterate, we're not here to talk about the types of ramps. We're just here to talk about the granite pavers. That's it.
Yes, Bruce.
Looks good.
I just want to say that your brief is to get a letter of approval on a microcosmic level regarding the granite pavers. Our brief, as Susan described very clearly, is that the atomization of these construction projects, you're saying it's DOT, DOT is saying DDC, you're saying they only gave us a brief for the sidewalks, they're saying they only gave us a brief for the pavers. It's not what the community board is about. For instance, DDC just told me 3 weeks ago why was Worth and West Broadway taken apart again a year ago when it was supposed to be part of the rebuilding of Worth Street contract that went on for 7 years, because they decided they just wanted a second contract. And so it's gonna be another 2 years out of the last 21. So we're saying that we need a holistic approach from you and DDC, like John DeLucia, who's retired, used to have with DDC, not this piecemeal appeal for a letter of approval. And so that would be my vote. I don't know about anybody else. But you don't have to
Thank
answer
you,
this, nothing
Bruce.
to answer.
Thank
So-
you, Bruce.
So if I could just speak on to our projects, these pedestrian ramp projects, I'm sure you guys are well aware that the city was sued due to not being ADA compliant. And therefore, we have to provide a way to get people off of the streets and onto the sidewalks safely. So that is why our projects are, as you want to call them, piecemeal and going from one location to another. It's only for ADA compliancy. So that's why it's not full stretches. And the city is committed to providing every corner to be ADA compliant within the next, I think, like 30 years, which is a long time, but it takes a long time to design these corners as well, and to get cooperation with utility companies, the community boards, other agencies as well. So We understand the frustration of not having a full street reconstruction, but unfortunately, we are only focusing on what was agreed to with the plaintiffs, which was for the pedestrian ramps.
Right, but I guess what,
Okay.
okay, I guess just the distinction there is, nobody's saying that there shouldn't be improved pedestrian ramps, nobody's saying there shouldn't be improved crosswalks. What we're saying is, it can't, these decisions can't exist in a vacuum, right? And so we're talking about whether we like the granting, it's like, it's ignoring the sort of, the rest of it. You know, you're talking about one block, but not the next block, you're talking about one intersection, but not the one, halfway down the block. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, it sounds like
Well,
there's
right-
places of the whole.
Yeah, right now we're only presenting to you the granite paver. So I think you need to keep that in mind. As I mentioned earlier, we are constructing 63 corners in this project, but we're only showing the ones that need the granite paver approval. So I just want you to put that in perspective. And when we go out to construction, with this project, the community will know where we're working for all those other different corners, but there's several projects that are going on within the city. But DOT has selected different ones to go at different times because of different reasons, because of resurfacing, because of complaints that they've received. So they're trying to move as expeditiously as possible, and that's what DDC is trying to assist them with.
Right, I guess what we're saying is.
Thank you,
thought not
Lorenzo.
speak.
No, please, hello. Stop, and please ask for permission to speak so we keep order. Lorenzo, thank you so much. We have one public person before we have an internal discussion. Please go ahead. Detta?
I just want to say that as far as people remotely, neither presentation could be seen. And this discussion was great because everything said in the room could be heard. But for the prior discussion of the penthouse and the railings, I would say only about less than 50% of what was being said in the room could be heard remotely.
Go ahead, Detta. Someone else heard it. I'll move you back to attendee. Thank you.
That's my Lucy.
Lucy's good.
So.
That's right.
Vera has not-
No, it's okay.
Hmm? Since Vera has not spoken, do you have any?
So many thoughts, but wish not to beleaguer this any longer.
Yeah,
Yes,
let's move
that's
along.
right. That's
Let's
Thank
move
you.
along.
Okay, I'm not moving along
Thank you.
without making this clear. It is only helpful when we as a community board comment on what is being presented. And if we have issues with the scope of work, that should be taken up with our politicians and not people that work at these agencies. We waste our time bashing with them. Okay?
I don't think we
I
bet.
don't.
I don't either.
So,
None of us think we best.
Don't speak for others, thank you.
Okay, let the others speak. They just, the poor people just said.
Well, I must be deaf in that case.
well, Vicky, let's just move on. I agree with you, but I think we would be remiss as a committee not to state the overall vision and the perspective of
Absolutely.
what we feel
Right.
they're missing and with whatever goes to deal.
So for example, I agree with you, Susan, but for example, if we're speaking and commenting to people who are working on the design end and not the upper management, right? I just think it's telling them something they can't change. But that doesn't mean that we as a group should not agree to put that in our resolution and say, well, we understand, we agree, whatever. We do want to point out that again, because in writing, that actually might work and he goes up the ladder. Now, before Corenzo, I take a vote and Corenzo leaves us, we did not, in our eagerness to go on about a side issue, we did not ask him a single thing about the material that they're using, the thickness, the color, the install, other than what you showed us. So, is there anything that we should know on the material, the color, the thickness, longevity of the install? The thinner the granite, the more chances it'll have to crack and make a mess, and we have to come back and redo it. Those are probably the concerns that we would like you just to describe to us and maybe make a comment.
Sure. So we're using, as I mentioned earlier, we're using DOT, if you go to the New York City DOT street design manual, we're using all the materials that DOT has already researched and approved of. So for the granite pavers, the 2 foot by 3 foot, they'll be 5 inches thick. They'll be on a 5-inch mortar bed supported by a 9-inch concrete road bed. The granite block headers, they're usually 6 inches wide. They usually go down 18 inches at least. And as I mentioned earlier, they'll be supported on a 9-inch concrete bed. And then the granite block pavers, those are 3 inches by 5 inches by 5 inches deep. And they'll be on a 5-inch mortar bed, and they'll be supported by a 9-inch concrete base. And all the materials that we're using, standard DOT materials that we put all throughout the city.
Granite headers.
Yes.
There, the 3 by 5 ADAs, right?
Yeah.
Are those granite headers textured or are they smooth?
Everything will be smooth. Yeah, everything has to be ADA compliant. There'll be nothing that'll be sort of like the cobblestones right now. You have a rumbling, which is not compliant. So everything is going to be smooth so that someone who's walking on a wheelchair, who's in a wheelchair, or someone who's walking with a cane or crutches, it'll be a nice even surface.
We will have some kind of or some kind of a finish that won't be slippery.
Can you repeat that one more time? You sound like you're in a fishbowl a little bit farther away.
I just wanted to know that these granite, the whole sidewalk, will not be slippery in rain. So there will be some kind of a gritty finish, right? It won't be
Yeah.
polished.
Yeah, and I showed that on one of the slides before. It's going to have a textured finish so that it's slip resistant, so that you won't slide.
What are we voting on? Resolution. We are accepting the proposed material. And we will include in our resolution our overall concerns for a holistic approach to repairing the streets and the sidewalks and the remaining and making them all conform to the same design, even though we understand this is not a nice urban presentation. Are you all okay with that?
Not really. I mean, I don't see how we can bifurcate this. Why can't the resolution be a version of, appreciate it to be design aesthetic, but can't support it without a more substantial.
I
don't think,
You can
I
vote
don't
no.
think DOT works that way. It's going
Yeah, it doesn't work like
I
that.
mean, we all want ramps.
So just a straw vote?
A what?
Straw poll.
Is
Send something with.
What I suggested, is what I would, recommend. We move the materials, the DOT material selection, this is an ADA issue. We will agree to add, paragraph or two, again, reiterating what the community's interests and preferences are.
I think it's not just the preferences, I don't mind saying it, but it's the lack of concerns of their lack of thoughtfulness. I thought it's the wrong word, the lack of an overall vision of what should, holistic.
Don't take that off of the conversation. No, I know that, but in our red
Sense of this
zone,
community,
and we need
you
to.
can disagree, but I think you should listen to the board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people.
You're not answering the question that is being asked. You wanna complain, you gotta complain to the boss, the
So
mayor.
why is there community? If you disagree, you're entitled to it, but we disagree with you.
Because you're not understanding the question.
Believe me, I've done this for 22 years.
I know, I have a lot of haircuts, but it doesn't make me a hairdresser.
That's it.
All right. Bye, thank you. All right, so I will propose this with the explanation that we have larger concerns. But we cannot vote no on this thing, we have to vote a yes or no on the issue that we're being asked. Jason?
Middle on this honestly, but, I think we can write a positive resolution, whereas that talk about what we don't like about the program, and then the full board will weigh in if it's controversial also, and they can vote, I think we get a 50-person blend versus blend that we get. We have farms still?
Yes,
Okay, so, I'll vote in favor of it tonight, as a positive resolution.
you need to have, right, we need to have a comment of what is being presented.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
about
say
the
that,
textures, it's about a big part of it's about accessibility, and unfortunately, the ham's forced by this lawsuit, but.
exactly, and they are using DOT standards, again,
It's very strange, the whole program is strange. Blocks are the most desolate blocks in Tribeca, they're very just limited to like, Holland Tunnel traffic and very local people, and, like tonight, those blocks have, no one walking on these blocks. So I don't understand that, but, we'll take it in a way. We'll take it.
I think that should be put in there, but we will. That's how we're at, when we say we're not, this is not a, well, we agree with this, but this is not addressing our wider issues, and we brought that over and over and over. We will do that, but we must address what the presentation is about tonight. Okay? Let's take a vote. Oh, second? Okay. Thank you. Motion passed, that's it. Yeah. Let's see.
This is gonna get a lot of action during the board meeting.
Yeah.
So let's let it happen there.
Let's let it happen. That's fine, let's move on.
We should leave some time for it there. I would agree. Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, wonderful.
Oh, yeah, that
Who's
was.
our next presenter?
I can be last.
Oh, yeah, let's hear the small group. Yeah, we're fine.
Thank you, Lorenzo.
Thank you.
Okay, so what happened at the end? What did you guys, because we could barely hear you.
Yeah. Our resolution is in favor.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. We're gonna be building a lot, so you'll be seeing us a lot more, so.
Sean Bulworth. You picked the last one, or we have another one?
We have one more, which is,
I stand between you and the end. Okay, we're good. Awesome. I'm here, I just want to go this way.
My God. And you, eat dinner at home.
Good. Okay. I did evening. I'm George Pinto, Senior Vice
You better
President.
shout, because we're exhausted.
Okay, Senior Vice President of Development for Howard Hughes, and tonight we are presenting the environmental design for the city. With me tonight is Zenobia Meckley from Future Green. Future Green helped design the landscaping and furniture, outdoor furniture you will see in this package. I also have Carlos Garcia from L'Observatoire. He's the senior associate there, and they came up with the lighting concept and the design pole that's included in this. I also, last but not least, because signage goes last, is Don Bilodeau, associate partner from Pentagram, who had put together all the wayfinding and signage that you see. Nick Jonathan Bulware from the Seaport Museum is on the line in case there are questions about the museum's role in this and some of the issues that will come up about the museum. This design project evolved from the feedback we received from our customers and visitors. And this final plan is really meant to make navigating the seaport easier, provide greater comfort to people by increased seating and seating options, and perhaps some opportunities for shade at these seats that really in a lot of ways don't exist today. Also, this will help make the seaport a safer experience. Certainly at night, we're adding lighting to a balanced lighting plan to throughout from essentially Water Street to the water, and including the side streets as well that are demapped that today really have virtually no light on. The design project had kicked off really during the pandemic. I think we wanted to wait till the Tim building was open and get some additional feedback, see if that relieves some of the issues that we were facing. But what we are putting forth today, which when we hope is approved, will be implemented in the next 12 to 18 months. I want to cover a couple points up front just to hopefully resolve some questions that you might have in the program. First and foremost, in terms of agency approvals, we work closely with DOT staff and have received approval for the light poles on the DMAP streets only. That's Front Street, Little Water, and Fulton. We did not receive approval for the light poles on Beekman or on South Street from DOT. Those are active streets. The process in getting through DOT on that is complicated and a lot more complicated than the DMAP streets. And also, I'm not certain if DOT is going to allow us to do anything outside their street design manual that you heard about in the previous presentation. And so we're not seeking approval for lights on Beacon or South Street tonight. You may see them in the renderings, but that's not part of this package. We've also worked with LPC staff, and we have presented to city planning staff as well. We're scheduled to go to the full commission at Landmarks on August 15th. And we are working with city planning on what they call a substantial compliance application to approve any changes we are making to the waterfront public access area and the public access area. Throughout the entire design process, we worked with the Seaport Museum, incorporated their feedback into the final product. You will see that this package includes some limited enhancements to Pier 16 and some enhanced lighting in the walkway between Imagination Playground and the museum. You'll see that the museum is a prominent part of the wayfinding program as well, and Don will take you through that in his presentation. The lighthouse, which is shown in several of the renderings, is not part of this application. The lighthouse is part of the Seaport Museum's collection. And as I'm certain you are all aware, the museum has retained an architect to develop a plan for the lighthouse restoration. We have developed plans to renovate Titanic Park. However, we think it's premature to put those plans forward here until we understand the full scope of the restoration of the lighthouse since it's tied to the lighthouse. Pentagram's presentation will include renewal of some historic plaques throughout the seaport. To be clear, HHC's role in that was only as the benefactor. Seaport Museum chose the locations. They have done all of the messaging, and they were involved in the design of the plaques itself with Pentagram. Our job really is to fund the fabrication and installation of those plaques. You'll see in Don's presentation, there's plaques outside of the core seaport area. The effort to get those plaques installed will be with the museum, and the museum and the property owner will have to come to some agreement on those plaques. We are fabricating them all, but we are only installing the ones in the areas that we control with EDC and MNC. We've agreed with EDC that we will operate the Garden Bar on Fulton Street through the end of next summer. At that point, it will change. We're working on what that change is now. At some point, we'll probably be back in front of the committee with what that change is. So it's clear why it's on the plan. It's on the plan because LPC staff in our discussions with them had asked us to make sure everything that's on the street or around the street is in the plan and addressed in our presentation. We've done that. If there's any discomfort with the resolution because it's on the plan, that there's a feeling that we're going to say you approved it, take it off the plan, I have no issue with it. I just wanted that to be clear up front so people don't think we're slipping something to do. We'll be installing a mock-up of the light post that you see in lighting in the next few weeks. We'll also have mocked up wayfinding signs attached to the light post. By the end of July, LPC staff will be coming out to review it. I welcome anyone from the committee who wants to come out and see it and provide feedback to us. I will send a note to Lucy once that is installed and operating. The rest of the presentation is focused more on design. It's less about location. It's the inspiration, it's the precedence, it's the materials, the style, the look and feel. Happy to go through the plan in detail if you require me to do that. But certainly that would take a great deal of time. Happy to respond to any questions about specific locations that the group has.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
With that, I'll turn it over to Zenobia and let her start it off.
Thank you. So will she be presenting?
Yes.
Would you like to sit here and film the slides? It's up to you to make it easier.
That would be easier. I think that's okay.
On the left hand side.
The microphone is what she's speaking.
Another one?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So as Chris mentioned, I'm Zenobia Meckley, I'll walk through the design and the furnishing. And I'm going to start with some images of projects around New York built projects that we look to for inspiration as we determine strategies for the people. As George mentioned, our priorities were really to provide comfort to visitors and residents of the area, to provide greater opportunities for seating, to bring more shade to the site, and bring a little bit of relief to the extensive living here through the introduction of more green and more planting. So you can see at the upper left corner of the slide an image of Gamesport Plaza. This, similar to the Seaport, is a historic New York City urban space that has been activated through the use of pretty simple interventions, so movable furniture to provide more seating, to break down the scale of the plaza, and then simple umbrellas to bring shade. And you can see safety is increased through the use of the stone bollards. This is an enlarged image of how planting is introduced through the use of modular planters. These are quite large, but are designed to be able to be moved. You can see that there are a couple of cutouts here for forklift. Looking at Dumbo here, you can see how the streetscape is softened, the addition of planters and trees. And then across the bottom here is one of our own projects. We did a series of rotating installations at Rockefeller Center and Channel Gardens. This is an example of some of our sort of modular planters and seating, and the way that they can be used within sort of the infrastructure, integrated with the infrastructure of this kind of existing legacy landscape to activate the space, provide more comfort, provide more opportunities for occupation. So on the screen we have a plan, Titanic, garden bar placeholder, but this gives you a sense for the distribution of elements. The larger elements and the concentration of elements is here on Folder, which is the main spine of the neighborhood and the most active sort of area in the neighborhood, in the district. And we have smaller, more distributed elements along Water Street and Front Street. And moving over to the waterfront side, we have a similar set of elements, which I'll describe in more detail in following slides. But these are concentrated on the plaza, at the team building itself, and along the team building. So there are actually there are actually quite a few modules. It's a simple series formed for platforms and planters. They're all square for the most part. They're rectilinear elements or planting. And they vary in scale depending on the location throughout the site. What you see on the screen here represents the they're designed to work together. They can be aggregated. The example of a 4x4 platform at varying heights to create a more dynamic seating opportunity. And platforms can be ganged up with planters, either the square ones or the longer planters to provide shaded seating opportunities. And you'll notice that in the largest of the planters, we are from trees. And so very careful consideration was given to the selection of the species that would go into these planters, particularly because planters are very constrained condition for a tree. So we selected species that are appropriate to that condition. It's also a very exposed site, so the trees are very resilient. We looked at the vegetation and the trees that are thriving in the neighborhood and surrounding context and used that as a reference point in selecting these species. Scale is also a really important consideration. I can make this. Is there a way to make it full? Yeah. That's something. Okay.
This is just for us.
Okay. I don't take it.
That can make that.
Thanks. Wait, what's an offset?
Okay. So I was saying scale was really important. We wanted to select tree species that would provide that shade, but that would also allow us to retain the view corridor depth. So the sections here illustrate the scale of the trees on day one planted, and then their height in estimated heights in 20 years. To give you a real sense of how we are preserving those view sheds, but also providing some of.
We want lots of time.
It's so hot there.
No, everybody likes it. We go to Europe because we love it.
especially on a day like today. Appreciate, yeah, the benefit that that would bring. So similar considerations, on the Pier 17 side. And you can see here that the amylin here is a species that repeats, the thread that pulls you, down Fulton under the FDR and through to the waterfront. On this side, because you're not constrained, it's not as tight as the Fulton Street corridor. We have a multi-stem, a little bit more sort of wild and appropriate to the condition at the waterfront. But same species, same kind of seasonal interest with the flowers in the spring, and both of the trees on the side are really beautiful. Here we have a few more of the modules. You can see I mentioned that you can aggregate these, stack them together. This is a collection of 7 modules. So there's a lower tier of 3 modules and then a tier of 4 modules that forms a stacked seating opportunity. We've also designed a custom shade structure. The structure is really inspired by the sort of map history of the site. So we have a steel frame that you'll see in Dawn and Carlos's presentation is related and references the design of the lighting and the wayfinding, with the infill of the umbrella itself comprised of rope, which kind of references. There are a series of linear benches that are at the plaza itself. These provide a bridge between Pier 17 and Pier 16. They're meant to be multi-sided, so you can face either direction. They provide informal seating opportunities, as well as opportunities for seating during events. And what is that? What is that? The wood is black locust. You know that pier out there we went to? This reminds me of that.
That's the Swedish alcohol impregnated white ware, pine actually. Over on Pier 40, no, I can't remember, it'll come to me, but
Similar
black
to
locust
that,
is
it's
great,
very
that's a native.
durable, looks great, feels good, the color is just the right feel, it's warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
And, so it's like the end of a very long day for me, but, it's made full.
Kibini, it's called Kibini.
Yeah. How does that compare to this?
The black locust is Kevany and Thermary, they're all similar there, as you mentioned, they're to create sort of a similar resistance and resilience hardwood. That's it. And we all know sort of the issues with eBay as a tropical hardwood, sustainable alternatives. Black locust has also been similarly, it's native and durable. Yes.
It's the North American eBay.
Yeah.
It really is.
In North American eBay? Okay, great, thank you.
It will weather with similar finishes as these. Minimally. So, and that's a great segue into our material palette. So there, we did a very careful look at the existing material on the site. For this very distinctive and already quite beautiful landscape. And so we really wanted to build on the palette that was there, the palette of wood, just especially at the waterfront and inland, the granite and bluestone. And then there's concrete in the form of unit pavers and cast in place. Concrete, which is sort of ubiquitous in the urban. And so the modules themselves.
They're waiting for us out there, before they can go home. Go ahead.
They can wait. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
That's right, and we have one more. So
So the modules in the previous images, they're a precast concrete base with the black locust wood flat. we generated a series of samples for HHC's review, reviewing the pigment of the concrete, also the aggregate. And the aggregate we're proposing, this is sort of a very special part of this one for us, is oyster shell aggregate, sort of a nod to the history of Pearl Street, which was originally named.
Sorry, I know it's perfect. I know, using shovels and plaster on walls for that nautical thing, probably.
It's a recycled material. We'll be working with the Billion Oyster Project to supply the material. And Howard Hughes is also coordinating with them to set up a supply chain for recycled materials from local restaurants to some of the other materials throughout metals that we have to this expanding metal
Powder coated, so it doesn't burn.
powder.
When you say painted metal, I mean, that would heat up, right? So.
Yeah, so
Where
the,
is
the,
it
the
painted?
black metal, you can see the base of these concrete.
Oh, all the way down? This
Yeah,
stuff.
it's a.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like sit or.
Not the same surfaces, the bases. That black color is in coordination with the wayfinding.
Good.
We've also got a solution that's inspired by the colorful facade. And we do have some stone elements, which are sort of accents.
And the cobblestones, that's, we're hoping that your installers know how to install it without caving in a year.
Right, it's always gonna install a beach, and then this is up.
That's a part of it.
So moving on. So in addition to the custom design modular pieces, there are a few off-the-shelf pieces of furniture that will, well, these are really, we're looking to standardize the furniture the site to bring a simple elegance to these pieces without detracting from the space. So we've got a few off-the-shelf seats to complement the seating. That's a bike rack. Lastly.
But you are putting bike racks, because there are no bike racks on South. Three, yes, I know. Yeah, no, I know I'm right, yeah. Exactly. And Sol took that one out, just because I used to park there.
I like the garbage cans.
They will be here shortly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So, okay.
Yeah.
The plan.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Titanic Park, in a decade. So the plant didn't show the height of that in 20 years. After the plant. Site allowed that. It's not. Yeah. North side. South side. This is not exactly the same. One street by itself. Cluster together. That's some sort of exponential
But the idea is that we want full-grown trees. We flock to Paris so we can have those walkways and benches in between so you can repose and not burn your head. So if you can put them taller and bigger, we don't.
The question on the trees, there's a lot of thought. That done consultation.
We did reference the New York City standard, their tree list. We also have a horticulturist on staff. We consult on making these decisions.
Is that it? Should we have anything else?
I mean, certainly not a clear.
Can we finish the presentation so that we can all
Yeah,
join in the
please.
conversation? Thank you.
Put you in charge.
Hi.
So hard to see a
Okay.
that l'Observatoire team on the floor yet. So, thanks a lot for your time. I think that our main goal for these was the integration of additional lighting that will supplement the fact that currently there are areas in the streets within the district that are completely unilluminated, and we kind of went deep into doing a survey of what decision and where can students can rise on that. So we were also very interested in kind of the history of the seaport and what were the elements that were found there and what were the shapes and kind of like found objects that were part of the history of the space in the city.
You know, we know this place really well.
I
Some
know.
of these people, for
Sorry.
25 years, it's okay.
Yeah.
You can just drive in.
So the idea was that we found this scattered condition across the district. We have like 30 to 12 feet poles that are completely, some of them are abandoned, some of them have been renewed, like the Bishop pole that is more city standard, while others are completely like a scatter for some strategies that were taken in a long time ago, but they were completely, so there is kind of like completely non-homogeneous condition that doesn't create a space of safety, it doesn't create a space of space or recognition on the space that you are. We were inspired by kind of these grand spherical, modern space of presidents in Europe that were creating plazas by the use of a repetition of a pole, and like Paris, France by the Louvre, or in Venice, it's in San Marco, where you have these kind of three heads and one single pole that are creating different moments that are creating scale of space and scale of plaza for people to gather. We also found these remnants of like, or that reference within US and here in New York of that kind of like marching pole strategy. And Washington, for example, in France Plaza, you have that kind of condition of general illumination by the 5 head poles. So that in Chicago or Seattle, where these kind of strategies taken to create safety and also wayfinding within the space. We took a lot of time into reference and designing the pole, in which we were very attracted by the old poles that were used to be at the seaport, as well as the hooks that are kind of making the boats. And then also the kind of this version of marking condition with the dandelion that you can create like that triple head space, triple head pole within. We also wanted to be careful of being respectful with the story of the streets of New York and the lampposts that have been used of the president. Some of them are standard, some of them are kind of more unique in this case. But the Land Preservation Commission in June 1997, there is kind of like a toolkit or like a distribution of all the different elements, spaces that were used, so we can get that as a reference. And that was the starting point to create kind of our design process of how to create how we get from the existing pole that is implemented space, how we can create a twist and create, by using also that kind of reference in the woody oil lamp, that was in 1953, or kind of the Riverside Drive that is kind of on the elevated, and it's like a yellow jar that is suspended, using a lot of illumination down. I've shown these, and this is kind of the final design we created that we were very, that kind of illusion of the hook to the circle. So the pole that we currently have, there are like two different types of pole. One would be like a one head pole, and another one is a triple head pole. They are 14 feet high and 22 feet high, and they vary. They have mass that have been also coordinated in pentagram, in which you have that stepping that goes from 6 inches to 4 inches. And then you also create data to create that kind of wayfinding condition for lights that are happening in the top portion of the pole. Down, we kind of see here the wayfinding integration, the lighting, where we have those totems, and then we go from like 14 feet high to a differentiation that will be like 24 feet high. But then, because we want to create a datum of a sense of plaza and a sense of community within that plaza, we want to make sure that at the Fulton Plaza, because of the change of height on the space by the team building side, we'd like to keep that triple head goal, yet keep the same datum of height. These are black coated metal, and they are vandal resistant. We also coordinate with manufacturer to make sure that they are saline resistant, trying to take in place all the elements that are going to be exposed to by these.
Right.
So we do have, in terms of layout, we are trying to create a sense of destiny right at the gate, right at the beginning of the district, where we have like more dust condition of poles, and these is kind of like creating that.
We don't understand. Maybe you can show us the rendering.
Oh, sure, fine. Basically, what I want to make sure is that we have those single poles within Fulton Street and adjacent street, and then by the Pier 16 and Fulton Plaza, we have the triple head that are created.
And how did you decide to do one or the other?
The triple height are creating kind of that destination of plaza, and they are also providing further illumination with less poles to be able to create more flexibility of action or application for the plaza. So you can activate this space with more poles.
So why this space here, where the bars are that we have now, right in front of the museum? Why can't that have the triple heads?
We cannot have the triple height because it will be also conflicting with the adjacent building. So we want to respect the offset from the pole to the building and not be that close, because it will be creating like a hotspot or like burning that kind of a site. So in terms of section, there is a limitation of width, overall width that the pole can have in the Fulton Street, because the fixture will be located, or the pole lighting fixture will be located right by the curb side. So if we are creating that triple height and we branch out, it will be closer to the protected facade building that will be adjacent to it. When we go to the Fulton Plaza, we have a different scenario because we don't have adjacent buildings either south side or north side. So that's why we can branch out more without having a clash with the.
I don't buy that, but we'll go on later, because I'm looking at your plan. Those, I want what you show in France. You know what, committee, excuse me, as you can tell, I have an opinion on this. I will wait for him to finish, then we can we just
we'll
see a
show you the
rendering?
rendering.
Yeah, just keep going.
We'll show you the rendering.
Because
So-
I'm reading what he
By the
was
Pearl,
doing.
by the Pearl Street and Fulton Street, we have that marching condition of poles that will create that sense of safety, where we currently don't have any poles or any illumination. When we progress and have that kind of view all the way to the riverside, we'll be having those at both sides.
Yep, keep going.
As we get to the opposite side view,
Yeah.
we'll have a few few more density,
Maybe
right,
that
the
one
big
here.
street,
Yeah.
sorry, we have
Not that
so
one.
many.
We got those, we've got side
That's
street.
nice.
That's
Take
Side
us to
Street.
that final grand finale,
Or
where
the
we're putting all
FDR
the bank.
Plaza, where we are adding those triple head poles that will be marching in between Fulton Street, Fulton Plaza and Pier 16, and that will be also marching around the team building. Those are, that's where we try to, you know.
Yes. Thank you.
Well, there's signage.
Signage.
There's signage.
This is
Three
a
or
lot.
4 hour.
This is a
Big
long
presentation.
presentation.
It's
so
a
I'm
lot.
sorry, you have like 6 minutes.
I don't know how to do
We
this.
know
If I was sitting with a
please.
client, this is.
We've done signage.
No, we haven't done sign.
That's what, no,
The TID place, we understand the place all around.
That's,
So we don't need any introductions. Show us what you want to do. We understand.
okay, just show us.
Okay, we also did a plan. I won't go through every single location, but all these locations were carefully considered to maximize flexibility for the sign blades that you'll see in a moment, and usability for all the various people that are using.
Right, and what are you signing about?
You'll see all my messages in the.
We only care about that.
All of the destinations are within the district.
Okay.
Sure they are.
So you're seeing, George mentioned historical plaques a moment ago. These are placeholder positions. We currently have about 16 of those on the plan. We have 13 wayfinding signs. Those are orange dots. We have 6 directories. Those are the blue dots. And we have some embedded identifiers at the top and bottom of Fulton Street, as well as there's locations in the sidewalks throughout. Pentagrams worked on plazas and historical districts throughout the city, worked on the High Line extensively, and then ultimately Hudson Yards. We did all the signage out at Governor's Island. We did all of the street signs down here with the images on them, as well as Hudson River Park and these directories. Whole slew of other projects. This is just a quick smattering. We're also very influenced by the history of this area and also the forms of boats and seaports. And you'll see our designs and our materials and finishes are utilizing these blackened steels, wrought iron steels, coppers. So you'll see in a moment the design. So we're using this great telescoping tool with a brass, we call this a beacon. And each pole has 4 changeable blades. Blades positions all can be rotated around the pole. And you'll see some more details on that in a little while. All of the wayfinding signs have a dedicated pole, panel rather, for the South Street Seaport Museum. Then all of the other destinations are in district destinations. Those are in white with black lettering, and the Seaport Museum panel is reversed. We also have these directories, as I was saying, these currently scheduled. These are planned to be digital directories. Users can come up and tap the screen, find their destination, get a user map, and understand where it is in conjunction. So this is a quick detail of this set of 3. Most of the wayfinding signs are attached to a pole that has a light on front. There are a couple that do not. And then this is the directory. Here you can see the kind of telescoping detail and the footing that has this great maritime / industrial discussion on the bottom. So here you're seeing the quick location plan for the 2 embedded identifiers that I was talking about on Fulton, as well as the preliminary locations for these embedded seaport identifiers in various sidewalks.
And wait, what is that black? That material that says seaport the size of a ship.
That's black and steel. That's steel just like these dollars.
Dear Lord. Okay.
And on to the plaques that we've been working on with the museum. We're replacing the existing plaques with an updated design. Again, it has this maritime feel, it's got these exposed bolts. Kind of can't see them on the screen here, but
Yes,
just like
we
the
get
bolts,
that, yeah.
just like the bolts on the way.
Yeah.
And these will replace the size and position of the existing.
The listen, so much work goes into this
Indeed.
presentation, and here we are rushing it.
That's okay.
Our sincere apologies. And
Yes,
like I said, it's late, and we know this thing, and we know, Howard Hughes hires the best, and you do lots of research.
So to quickly go over the destinations, and I won't go through every single sign, although I do have them here. The primary destinations are Pier 17, Tin Building, Fulton Street,
Yeah.
South Street Museum. And then there's a whole series of secondary destinations. They're mostly in Pier 17. Then we carefully figured out where they would all go, and then the messages on each. And they all have the same system. And depending on the 45-degree angle and where destination is, the sign is tailored to only have those planes when and where. They're all here.
No, it's not that. We want to know, I think.
I'm going to have to say one thing.
Absolutely.
I want to first say, thank you. It's a really good presentation. I'm sorry that I can't give it as much, but you really did a great job, and you should really know that. I think there's too much lighting. I am having a real trouble with it. It's just too much.
We're gonna cover that.
And so I'm gonna let them cover. I have to be, it's just one of the wonderful things about going, and I go a lot, I go to the Tin Building, is that it's not so lit up, that it's kind of soft. And that's what I worry about. And I think you have to hear that. And the other is, I don't know about the signage. Some of it is just beyond. It's too much.
Well, can I summarize this by saying that we would like the South Seaport to stay for New Yorkers and the immediate community, and we are very cautious with any proposal that takes us into a different group of users, which is the tourists, and to make it for them. Don't frown if you're frowning at what I'm saying.
Money from the tourist.
That might be fine. That's not my problem tonight.
We get neighbors who ask us. And I think the thing is, what you saw in the press, that this is what people expect. This is stunning. All the wayfinding and dust.
No, we understand.
Thank
No,
I understand that too, but there's a point where you're not in Walt Disney World or, a mall or something. Want to make it in a way where, yes, it serves a purpose, but it's not done. And some of it I do feel is a little dominated placement, the modified lesson, both with the signs and with the lighting. And like with your Pier 17, you're lit up. So you don't need all that lighting towards the Pier 17. But that whole pier is actually, it is completely lit up, so you don't need it like necessarily. That's my experience. I live there, I go there, I participate, and quite often. So you're not. Were they sober?
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're really trying to make sure that we get enough light up there. We also want to extend this. We don't want that.
Right, if you don't mind. But just on this topic, I'm sorry, Jared, we'll get back to you in 1 second. Just on this topic, look, I read plans, that's what I do for a living. And as much as I appreciate everything Howard Hughes does, and the big hand gets the great products, marching all those lights down there, okay, tells everyone that Pier 17 and the Tin Building is the ultimate destination. So marching down the street is not what we like, because we like that space. We like to repose in that space, okay? Where the Chase bar is or whatever, which is not a great solution, because that too is linear in that same shape, and it just takes you right through, right? And we don't like that. We would like to have a bunch of different seatings so that people who live here, right, enjoy that. And which is why I immediately asked you where, oh, not you, I'm sorry, where the lighting, the triple lighting is going to be. I'm sorry, I'm not here to speak personally. I represent the community, but personally, I do not like the light box that you did and the cover on it. It is just not sexy enough. It is far too utilitarian, and you showed us at the very beginning those incredible European spaces, right? That are absolutely wonderful and sexy, and we all go out there, and that's what we want here. And you can do revisions with your client however you want, but that is definitely something that interests me about this public space.
Madam
Jared.
Chair, before we get into a lot of questions, may I ask, as far as the LPC is concerned, this is a historic district. That's why it's before us. What are we being asked to make a resolution on specifically?
Well, I think the signage, the style and locations and quantity, lighting and landscaping, and how it's, landscaping is one of those weird ones, right? But as Jared pointed out, it's funny you say this, I think we're getting a little tired of planted planters, right? We would like to have something that is grounded and real and there and, has a big bark and we can touch it. So I think it's those three things. Correct, George?
Yeah, it is. I've been told that I have plants and plants regulated by what we see anymore. Street furniture is something. See the lighting and light style. Well, we'll say that all of the locations previously, but obviously smaller.
Right. And do people really need to know where they are every step of the way? New Yorkers know where they are. So again, be honest and tell us, you're catering a lot of it to a commercial, success, which I totally understand. But you also are at a community board meeting, right? And we only care about ourselves.
And that's why we're fair. I would just say one thing that
Yeah.
we're not as familiar.
So you know what's great about New York?
New York.
No, George, you know what's great about New York? Hey, do you know where the King Building is? And everyone goes, yeah, over there to the left. I understand. Listen, I'm not gonna beat a dead horse. I totally understand. And then, getting around planting by putting it in planters, we're not born yesterday either. So we don't like when these very important elements that help create the space are, sort of embedded with this trickery. Like if it's not, if it's movable, then we don't need to get it approved. And we're telling you, no more little flowers and little scrub and bushes. Give us damn trees. And I'm giving you the feedback that we get, so.
People around.
Right. George, I understand that. And as I said, a lot of the times when we get to the seaport, right, you cross the lighthouse, right, that whole space, right, is permanently in flex. There is nothing pretty about it, right? You make it linear, it directs you to Pier 17, and what we're saying is that we would like to have a sequence, treated like a sequence of rooms with different furnishings, so people can experience different stuff. And some of that requires permanency, like Jared said, a tree. Anyway, I've spoken enough. Jared, please go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm just like, I'm trying to see. Well, we know that main, covering, I don't know. So.
I have two. Is this an LED light? Okay, great. I'm sorry, we have to keep moving. This is a huge presentation, George. So Jerry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I have another question. Well, actually two questions, but, so I'm also on the land use, zoning committee, and Tuesday night, Liberty Cruises presented, I guess, two temporary kiosks. Sorry, I want to make sure, I want to address you, but I want to make sure I'm speaking into, so this is on record. But, so Liberty Cruises presented two temporary, ticket sale kiosks, one at Fulton, I guess, on Fulton Street, where you have the shade structure with the platforms located, and then one directly across the street. Oh, are you working with them directly? They said they were working with Howard Hughes. That's
Never. Before they came up. With a museum.
Wow. You're right, you're done.
My only other question
sorry,
had
Jerry.
to do with, I don't understand. Those in the community who've been here longer certainly understand the legalities of this, but I guess my question is who's, you may have said this earlier and I may have missed it, but who's footing the bill for this and who's maintaining all the streetscape and the lighting and et cetera?
Howard Hughes, Jerry.
All the planters are ours. Structure itself, you know? Plantings. Sure. It's us putting the bill. It's us.
That's good, thank you. Is that it, Jared?
Yeah, thank you.
Bruce, we would like to hear any comments and thoughts and concerns. Okay. did you see the two signs where, right when you cross the lighthouse, in letters are probably 5 feet tall? It says South Seaport embedded in ground, no?
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's my point, right? I was asking, who are we designing this for? So George, well, you hire great teams and your teams always do a wonderful job. You will forgive us if we put in our resolution that we have some concerns about the end user, and as a result, you know, how some of your decisions are influenced and what we think about that. Thank you. Yeah.
Take it offline and write something.
Right, and I think starting with the overall issue of who is the end user, we would like to keep it less commercial and more, you know, domestic, with, you know, approvals and on some areas, generally working around that, and then, we can all review it at the monthly.
So you guys are going to.
August what?
15th, they're gonna go.
To the planning commission hearing of the LPC? LPC, very much.
Yeah.
Reaction of the intersection of planning. All departments. Planning. But there are some areas that we're not supposed to have. Where working through plans, go through, comments on.
Thank you for everything. So let's take a vote. So as Jason and I discussed, it will be, you know, partially favorable, but we will have some concerns, such as the quantity of lighting, quantity of signage, South Seaport notification in the ground. That has to go, George, unless you want me to spray paint it afterwards myself. You're kidding, right? My point is that that is sort of the flavor of our resolution. Do I have a second? Thank you, Vera. Take the roll call.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Any recused?
Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, George. Thanks for waiting so patiently for this. 271 Church Street.
You'll have to speak up because we only have 1 hour and they can't hear.
No, he's talking about something that's personal.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, just a second.
Good evening. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Todd. One moment.
Hold on.
Sorry.
So I came back because Kevin insisted that I come back. and I got enough text from enough committee members to be mature and come back. Tammy asked me to
I
convey.
have myself unmuted, but I'm not hearing you.
Can you please just give us a moment?
1 second.
Go ahead.
That means Bruce isn't being picked up on here either, so.
Why don't I, can someone raise their hand if you can hear? Oops, now I don't see anyone.
There we go, there you go.
Can you hear us?
Long day, long day.
Vicky, please double check.
We used to meet in our homes, like for how long, how many years that was.
Hello, Todd. Good evening. Hello, Todd. Good evening.
It's on, it's on. I know, I know.
Todd, can you hear us?
And who's else? There's somebody else out there to listen.
Asking if you can hear us, I don't know.
Can you hear us, Todd?
It appears that I cannot share my screen, and I'm not sure if you all can hear me.
I'm gonna tuck you and Jared and chuck your hands for a second. Every time.
I see smiles.
Well, we can hear you.
Okay,
That's-
we'll share the presentation. You can share it.
We'll share the presentation.
It's in the pack.
And it's in.
It's in the. Todd, please go on.
Problem is.
Todd, can you hear us? Todd, can you hear us?
He was hearing us, he was trying to share. He wasn't sharing the presentation, just put up the presentation.
It's being, what's in here before.
Yes, for.
It's the base you don't want to touch.
Right, it's space. Right, I mean, that's really good.
There you go, again, you're going. He's on mute, right?
Todd, can you hear us?
Oh, Todd.
Todd, can you hear us?
Send the chat, maybe could you. Can you hear us?
The other participants.
Anyone? I think he's trying to share and I've been saying.
He's saying it's a hard time sharing.
This is important. And also.
Just share, you do it, you share.
Well, we have Sue Horn, right?
One.
No. If you.
Well, Susan leads, left already. So 1, 2, 3,
It's
4,
not
5,
out of animus, it's just.
six.
I have to
With
believe
Horn,
it's-
but
Yes.
but Bruce has-
But not out of animus, it's just, I believe,
Well, it's just.
what should we do? I don't wanna break it with that.
Oh, you can, yeah.
You don't have.
Push it to.
Okay, so now it's on. So
Okay,
Todd,
so let's just,
Todd, can you
Hi,
record?
hi, Lucy.
Todd, can you hear me?
Yes.
we hear you on, can you hear us?
I'm gonna do the best I can with my cell here. So,
I
We can
just
hear-
got the phone number and the access code. You want me to call in and use the access code?
no, we can hear you. You
Okay,
can't
great.
hear
Can you
us.
see my screen?
We don't need you to share. We have someone sharing.
Is my screen sharing with you all?
No, but we have someone sharing for you. Guys, we have a lot of background here.
Okay, so should I begin the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, and I'll tell the person, so someone can advance the slides on my command?
Yes.
Okay, so please go to LPC-1. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for your patience with me. I am Todd Zwigart. I'm the architect for the project. And the request before you tonight is to create a new entrance to the corner space at 271 Church Street, also known as 90 Franklin, on the corner of Church and Franklin. And you can see in the upper right in red the window bay that is the proposed new storefront opening. If you go you can go past LPC2, which is the historic photos of it is a brick Art Deco building. LPC3, you can see a photograph of the current condition of the corner. And on the far right, you can see the bay that we're proposing to turn into an entrance for that corner space. Now in LPC4, on the left, you're seeing the current condition of the entrances to the 3 retail spaces on the ground floor. Currently, tenant B and A share a combined vestibule entrance, and it has been very problematic for the leasing of the tenant A space. The space has been vacant for 3.5 years, starting with the pandemic, and the owner, who is on the call tonight, has not been able to lease the space. And the primary reason is the lack of a proper entrance. So we've worked with the Landmarks staff, and they seem supportive of this idea of creating an entrance at the first bay on Franklin Street, which you can see with the purple arrow. And that entrance is being proposed to match identically the blue entrance to tenant C, which we have recently completed. So if you go to LPC 5, we're just showing an overview on the left, the main entrance on Church Street, which is now the shared entrance, and then our bay proposed on the right. If you go to LPC 7, the elevation above, you will see outlined the window area, and directly below, you'll see the elevation of the proposed. And you can see how it matches the center entrance on that facade. One of the reasons for selecting the far right window is to complement the symmetry of the overall facade and repeat the rhythm of door, window, door, window, door. If you scroll down to LPC 8, you can see in detail the proposal. It's important to understand that everything above the 9-foot 2 3/4 line would remain. The ornamental panels above the glass and the top 3 glass units would all remain. We would cut directly below that and remove the lower 3, and we would cut and remove the granite, and we would install a central door, which is an outswinging door, and a floor-to-ceiling, full-height side light on each side of those of the door. We would also be patching the sidewalk at that new recessed area, which is a code requirement, so that the door does not swing more than 18 inches into the public sidewalk area. If you go to LPC 9, you can see the cross-section of the existing on the left with the granite curb and the historic window, and then you can see on the right the window and panel preserved above, and then the new, which is set back approximately 10 inches, I believe, the minimum amount needed to achieve the code compliance. It also puts that into shadow and separates it from the historic fabric above. LPC 10, you can see the proposed details, all of the profiles and silhouettes of the new extrusions match the original bronze extrusions. We've worked very closely with Landmarks on the other storefront, making sure that these were all achieved. And we're doing all of that the same again. If you go to LPC 12, you'll see the before and after. And and then LPC 13 shows the proposed finish, which is a matte anodized black, which is an excellent excellent match to the existing windows. LPC 14 is just, once again, the rendering of the proposal. And then I think what's important for you to see on the last sheet, LPC 15, is the other entrance to Tenant C, which has been recently completed. And we would be, in every manner, we would be doing this exactly again. So we would have identical entry conditions so that tenant, the corner tenant, can have a proper usable entrance. So that completes the presentation, and I would be happy to answer questions.
I do have to go. I'll be quick. I'm not saying I'm against this. I'm not sure what the moldings are about that holding the glass. I do want to say that
I apologize, but I can't hear the question.
I'm going to say that I'm not necessarily opposed to this, although I have questions about the framing of the glass.
Yes.
I do want historical reference of John Petrarca, who was the architect of the conversion of the Franklin Tower for Robert Levine, who at the time was the chair of the Landmarks Committee, said to the developer.
Go ahead, help me out.
I hear you now.
Who said to the developer, I don't want to repeat the preamble, just let me say that the architect who was also the chair of this committee at the time for the conversion developer of the Franklin Tower, Robert Levine, said that if the signage, the banner that was proposed for temporary advertising to advertise the condos was going to be screwed into the granite, which was the developer's proposal, simply screwed in 2 screws on either side of the granite, he would resign from the project. That's how sensitive the architect was to the original fabric. You are proposing to cut out a big chunk of the original granite water table at the corner. The middle one was, I guess, reluctantly approved, but it was in the middle. It was halfway down the block. It's a big building by Cross and Cross. To cut out the chunk of the water table at the corner really concerns me. I don't know how to get around that except put a ramp over it or something, but I'm just calling it out. Thank you.
Any other
It's concerning, you know, the problem is that in the drawing and the rendering, we can see the possibility of this coming together, but so the worst thing that would happen is if it becomes like one of these chopped out storefronts that, you know, you can't deliver on your promise of making the extrusions really matched there. And then it just becomes like an aluminum storefront stick-on thing, like the old bank building on Canal Street or wherever we've ripped out these gates and put in these, the India House. I don't know, you know, you see what they did. They ripped the front doors off and put aluminum. So, yeah.
No, they didn't. They were.
Well, they put them in front of it. Okay.
No, they were drawn into the pocket.
It's a little bit disturbing, no matter what happens, but so, and it's the corner, and so if, I guess the problem is if we just continuously chop out every day, it's an arcade, it's not a building. we see this along the Broadway corridor on bigger buildings. And I think it's just like the time to say, if you're gonna build this door, make it out of some sort of forged material, some material that really looks exactly like what's there, like it was built then. And I know you're not gonna be able to do that with just an aluminum stock kind of scenario. So I guess.
Like Rockefeller doors, right?
Yeah,
Something
even the
serious.
Holbrook building, they did
Yeah.
an intervention there at the storefront level where they made custom pieces that just make it, yeah, just take it to the level that it deserves.
Yeah.
You know, and so if you can kind of do that for us, that would be really terrific.
May I just say something?
Yeah.
I'm just disturbed about chipping away historic fabric.
Yeah, losing historic.
We're just constantly chipping away at historic fabric, this building. We already allowed it already on that one side. I did not feel comfortable with it, but we did. And now, like you say, so at what point do we stop? I don't understand. At what point, and they do have an entrance, it's just quote unquote not suitable, the other one. So I lean towards not liking this proposition.
Just for the record, to address that, this would be the point where we would stop. There's only 3 spaces, and there'd be no need for any more entrances, and we would never consider doing this on Church. So this would be the stopping point.
It is at Church.
I think, right, I think what we're worried about is that it's the location. You have to use the pole on one of the side. Todd, we're concerned about the location, prime location right around the corner. And we would like to obviously suggest and encourage that you speak to your client about using some substantial material that is more reflective of the original material at the time, more reflective of Woolworth building material, ground floor doors, or Rockefeller Center. We don't want just aluminum. If you're gonna do this, it has to be out of some serious material, black and bronze or something with a custom-made doorknob. And that way, it makes sense to have this opening because it is, special and magical. Otherwise, we're not sure if we can agree. Hold on, please, here's one last comment.
Understand?
I very much agree with my colleagues here on the board. At the same time, looking at LPC 7, the proposed elevation on Franklin Street, from that elevation, and the intent, it does mirror the other end to some degree. That being said, I agree with what others have said, which is it is a prominent corner and seems to be eroding the actual historic architectural fabric.
I don't think we addressed the water table, which 0.6 mentioned.
So our choice is to either say no.
You have to remember, for some reason we're having technical, Jared has the phone, you gotta pass it around.
It seems like
I was gonna go, sorry, we were having technical difficulties.
Sometimes we
I
try
can
to
hear
make-
everyone very well.
Our main concern is that it's poor material, we're not chipping away at the water table of the existing material. Do I have a second?
Second.
Yeah.
Yes.
Take the roll call. No. What are you voting on? We're voting on.
A negative resolution.
Not approved.
Any opposed? Any abstained?
I'm gonna abstain.
We don't understand.
We're not finished with it.
What?
One more item.
I really do, I think, no, she's not, the budget, right?
Budget.
The budget we can do, can't we do that like?
Yes.
You can do that in 30 seconds.
And I'm not trying to be rude or
He
anything.
doesn't, he says, Bruce says expand the budget.
Expand the budget.
I'm sorry, thank you.
Bye, Bruce. Thank you.
Where's Todd? Where's the phone?
He's there.
He said he could hear us now.
Oh, Todd, I'm sorry, unfortunately, it is our opinion that chipping away at more historical fabrics, like taking away parts of the water table is something that we cannot agree and support.
Okay, I understand. Well, thank you for fitting us in. I know it was a long meeting, so I do appreciate you sticking with us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
Still being recorded.
Yes, we have one more item here. Well, it's really quickly. You have the,
Yeah.
you know, the 3 items from last year.
Yeah.
Look at them, come back in September, tell me what you feel, tell me
Yeah.
what you want to add, what
We
you
want
want to
more.
take away, and we're done.
Okay.
3 items. Just keep it with you. Come back in September. Let us know what we should add
Yep.
or what we should take away.
Very good, Lucy. That was very
Thank you.
smart of you to do that.
I learned from the best. Meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you all. Good evening.